Radiating from the heart of America and stretching from coast to coast and border to border, welcome to OnRadio, the wireless industry's weekly download coming straight from the builders and newsmakers of everything wireless. Your host is Jim Tracy, and this is OnRadio.
Hey, welcome wireless family. Welcome back to OnRadio. We are super excited this week. I'm supposed to make a big introduction of a long nature about a friend that I've had for 30 years, and we've grown up in the industry together, and that is absolutely not the case. In the interest of honesty and fair play, I will tell you that we had a guest all scheduled to come on, and they decided that they had something that they had to do that was more important than on radio. I can't imagine what that would be, but they tapped out to come in at a later time, and then I got this LinkedIn click, and it said, "Hi, I'd like to know more about your company," and it was from Ainsley Parks, and she is the Ainsley. Welcome aboard OnRadio. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you. My name is Ainsley Parks, and I develop towers with my mom, with IDP, and so we build and develop towers, and then I'm also director of asset management with a company called TowerPoint, based out of Atlanta, Georgia, and another office in San Diego.
Awesome. Well, yeah, the entire family of Ontivity companies was built on family businesses. And so we are appreciated and excited. And we just love the fact that you, first off, right out of the bat, say, "Hey, I get to work with my mom," because we think that's pretty cool. So you have been in the industry a long time, and especially in relation. I mean, you're kind of like right out of college and came into it. But how long have you been doing wireless?
My grandpa actually was the one who started building towers, and
Wow.
He was way back when there was North Cal and all of that. And one of my first memories of going to a site is being picked up at, I think it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. It was still dark, and going to a tower site to go help dig the trench for the power. And I think I was no taller than the trench, and I was about 10 years old with a hard hat and running the power up to a mountaintop site.
That's awesome. More kids today need to have that kind of growing up experience with a shovel and a reason to use it. Especially
Right.
Your grandpa sounds like he was a great mentor.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. And then, you grew up and you kind of, like a lot of our folks, you grew up in the tower, grew up wireless is what we say. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Then, and then you decided that you wanted to get a higher education. What did that look like?
Yeah. So then I had played volleyball through high school, and I was offered a volleyball scholarship to come out to NNU, and so came out to rural Idaho from the coast and played volleyball there. Actually did chemistry and kind of went a different direction for a bit. I went on to grad school and went to chiropractic school, and then ended up circling back around to the family business when they needed some help. And I guess it's just in my blood, because then I stuck with it.
So if I have to help put this together for people. So you are a tower kid who played Division II collegiate volleyball while taking biochemistry, went and got your license to practice chiropractic medicine, and now you're running tower assets and helping your mom develop tower sites.
Yeah.
Is that cool or what? I mean, the breadth of your experience is earth-shattering. I mean, coming from Northern California, you understand earth-shattering, right?
Right. Yes. Literally.
Wow. So now you work alongside some folks at a company called TowerPoint. Tell us what TowerPoint does.
They're primarily known as an acquisition company. So they acquire towers, easements, and a lot of rooftops. And so I actually, when I moved out to Idaho again, I was no longer really in reach of the family company. And so I had heard of them and pretty much called the CEO and said, I want to work in towers. And I looked on your website and I don't want any of the jobs you have listed, but I want to work in towers. And he said, okay, I'll see what that looks like. And he asked me to send a resume, and he's like, your resume, you have chiropractic school and biochem. That's not really going to help me sell you to HR. And then he kind of just gave me a shot in tenant services. And it wasn't 6 months later that they more or less given me kind of the asset management role. And I help manage the leases and the modifications and things on the assets that they own.
All right. So, for our folks out in the field and the entire wireless ecosystem, when you talk about tower mods, you're talking about modifications to the structure itself, or what?
So all of the above. I mean, most of the time it's upgrades and modifications to the equipment itself. So the carrier comes to you and says, here's what I'd like to do. And more or less you just make sure they have their ducks in a row.
Yeah.
Where's your permit? Where's your engineering? Are you sure that's where you should put that? And can it hold it? But then occasionally it is a failing structure for one reason or another, and you're
Sure.
partnering with them to see how you can modify the site to accommodate.
Awesome. So you work with all the carriers
Yes.
and probably some public safety people, and there's other people that want on towers too, aren't there?
That want to run towers.
No, there's other people like public safety that want to go put stuff on your towers, and you
Oh,
get to
right.
lease them space, right? What kind of other
Right.
organizations do you deal with? Utilities or public safety or all the
Yeah,
above?
utilities, public safety. There's some municipalities that they have their safety, police stations, sometimes smaller Wi-Fi providers.
Sure. And
More
WISP, yeah,
recently.
for sure. Awesome. So I'm still trying to make this math work. You were raised in Northern California.
Yeah.
And then you moved to Boise for college. And then you moved back to Northern California for chiropractic school. Spent a little time in
Chiropractic school I did in Portland,
in
and
Portland.
then
Okay. Sorry, there's another curveball. You're hard to track.
I know I'm all over the place.
Yeah. So you've got Pacific Northwest kind of written all over your resume, and that's
Hmm.
pretty cool because a lot of our companies are up in the Pacific Northwest. Um,
Right.
so you went to school in Portland. That's kind of changed since you left there, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you wanted to come back home to the Rocky Mountains, which that's what I did. So I completely understand. What was the
Mhm.
drawback to here?
The drawback? There aren't
Yeah.
downsides to coming back.
No, I mean, what drew you back?
Oh, okay.
I know there's a, yeah.
um, yeah, there's nothing wrong with being here. My family bought a ranch out more in rural Idaho, and I have two little boys, and I wanted to expose them to that. Wanted them to get their hands dirty and go out and work. And so, we came back, and um, like I say, I was lucky enough to find a way to still stay involved in cellular, which was going to be one of my drawbacks initially.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So I want you to know that you're raising some kids who are growing up on a ranch, and we want to hire them at some point because we love farm kids. We love their work ethic. We love the honest way that they approach life. And so you just keep them going on that ranch. Keep their fingernails a little dirty and their faces a little hardened and tanned, and we'll take them when
Okay.
they're ready.
All right. Well, if I teach them anything, they won't be cheap.
Okay, I can understand that. So, you went from California over to Idaho. What kind of a culture shock was that for you?
I mean, Northern California is a little bit more rural. It did take a while to um, accept that there wasn't going to be those big bodies of water or the green because I came from the redwoods, and so
Oh
relatively
yeah,
speaking, the topography felt very, very different. It
Uh-huh.
took me a while to decide that Idaho was pretty too.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, as far as like the people and the culture, I identified more or less with like the work ethic and the general mentality and camaraderie that I find here.
Yeah. So you say Northern California is different than Southern California. Explain a little bit about that for our folks down in Georgia who don't understand
Don't understand.
our version of the West Coast.
Uh, as a learning experience, Northern California has the exact same regulation and hurdles and all those excellent learning opportunities that are associated with being in California. But as far as maybe its reputation for being fast paced or a little bit, or the sunny beaches or anything like that, in that sense, we're much more like Oregon. It's kind of colder and, doesn't maybe have that same lifestyle appeal as my San Diego friends would be
Yeah.
familiar with.
And you do have Tower Point does have an office down in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're headquartered out of Atlanta with an office in San Diego. That didn't open, but just recently, did it?
I mean, they've both been there a lot longer than me
Oh, okay.
at the company. So
All right.
they've existed for quite a while in both offices and have a pretty national presence in the portfolio. So there's certainly plenty of assets in California because
Yeah.
of their presence in
Sure.
California.
Sure. And you're building a whole portfolio, I'm betting, in Idaho too, right?
If I have anything to say about it.
There you go. So, as an asset manager, what is one of the most, I mean, and even going back into your days at LNA with your mom, if you look at that, what's one of the most rewarding things that you found in the wireless industry that you do?
I mean, I think it's providing a service. I enjoy the relationship and being able to create a positive interaction with the landlord and
Mm,
being able to educate them. They're usually sort of unfamiliar with what they're getting into. And then providing a service for the carriers too, and helping facilitate their desires and their wishes for the network. And in the end, providing a functional network that we all use.
yeah,
I like to try my best to make them as visually appealing as possible. It's not always the goal of the infrastructure, but you try to keep it in mind, especially on rooftops and things. There are ways
sure.
you can make it fit in with the community.
Yeah, make it less ugly, right?
You try.
Awesome. So, as you go about that, and especially bringing on the optimization and the things that asset managers do, um, there are challenges that you face on a day to day basis. Especially, I mean, a lot of our folks have dealt with landlords one on one, and sometimes it's awesome, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's less than awesome. What have you found?
I found, again, if you go at it with more an educational approach, that usually a lot of it is telecom becomes familiar to people in telecom, but to everybody else, none of the lingo, none of what is normal is completely unfamiliar. And so I think as you go at it, like say more as an opportunity to sort of educate and give clear expectations, it helps. But you always have those unique scenarios that you kind of de-escalate in their own way.
Hey, folks, join us again next week because Ainsley is going to come back and we're going to talk some more about towers and stuff like that. Ainsley, thanks for joining us on radio. We appreciate you. Until next Thursday, hey, let's all choose safety today. This is Jim, and I am out.
Thanks for tuning in today, and join us every week. Tell your people to listen in and subscribe to OnRadio, the voice of everything wireless.